For centuries, humanity had witnessed the unexplainable. Scientists, world leaders, and even ordinary people had speculated about the strange occurrences that took place every year on the same night. Mysterious gifts of technology, sudden breakthroughs in medicine, and unexplained events that saved millions of lives, each one impossible to explain, yet undeniably real. Some called it divine intervention. Others whispered about secret organizations working from the shadows. But no one truly knew the truth. And then, on one fateful night, Earth received an undeniable answer. It started with a tremor in space, a ripple in the void that sent shockwaves across the solar system. Observatories in every major nation detected an anomaly, a distortion so powerful that even their most advanced sensors struggled to make sense of it. At first, it was dismissed as an error, a malfunction in the equipment, but then the readings became undeniable. Something vast, something ancient was approaching Earth, and it was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Satellites went dark as a shadow loomed over the planet, blocking out the stars. The world stood still as the unknown entity emerged from the darkness, a colossal vessel, so massive that it dwarfed even the largest space stations. Its surface pulsed with an eerie glow, shifting and morphing as if the ship itself was alive. Every government scrambled to respond, deploying their most advanced weapons, preparing for an invasion. Fighter jets took to the skies, missiles were armed, and space stations went into high alert. Yet, the massive ship made no aggressive move. It simply hovered above Earth, silent and unmoving, as if it was watching. Then, a voice echoed across every communication channel, in every language known to mankind. It was not a voice of conquest, nor a demand for surrender. It was calm, powerful, and filled with an unfathomable wisdom. "Do not fear," it said, resonating through radios, televisions, and even the very air itself. "I am Exile Thor, and I have come not as an enemy, but as a giver of gifts." The world was paralyzed in disbelief. Was this some kind of trick? An alien deception? But there was no denying the sheer presence of the being who spoke. Xalthor was no ordinary visitor. His name was ancient, older than human civilization itself. Those who studied deep space transmissions had encountered whispers of him in lost signals from the void. He was known among the stars as the Eternal Voyager, a being of immense power, spoken of in fear and reverence by countless alien civilizations. As the world debated whether to trust this so-called benefactor, Xalthor descended from his ship. He did not come in an army of soldiers or in a fleet of warships. Instead, a single light shimmered in the sky, falling gently to Earth like a star breaking through the heavens. It landed in the heart of the world's most secure facility, bypassing every defense, every barrier, as if human technology was nothing more than an illusion to him. And then, he stood before them. Xalthor was unlike anything they'd imagined, not a grotesque alien, nor a mechanical construct, but a being wrapped in flowing energy, his form shifting like liquid starlight. His presence was overwhelming, not in a terrifying way, but in a way that made the world feel small. His eyes, if they could be called that, glowed with the weight of millennia, as if he had seen civilizations rise and fall countless times before. And in that moment, the leaders of Earth knew they were standing before something far beyond their understanding. "I have watched your kind for longer than you can comprehend," Xalthor spoke, his voice resonating in the very air. "I have seen the strength within you, the fire that refuses to be extinguished. Among the endless stars, you are unique." He lifted a hand, and in an instant, holograms flickered to life, showing glimpses of humanity's past. The great wars, the moments of suffering, the destruction mankind had brought upon itself. But then, the images shifted to acts of courage, to selflessness, to the relentless drive that pushed humanity beyond its limits. "You have been given no advantage," Xalthor continued. "No grand empire to guide you, no ancient wisdom passed down from forgotten ancestors. And yet, you persist. You defy the fate written for you. That is why I come, not as a ruler, but as a benefactor." Then he revealed his purpose. Every year, he had left behind knowledge ideas woven into the minds of humanity's brightest minds, solutions to problems that should have taken centuries to solve, the cures for diseases thought impossible to overcome, the sudden inspiration that led to technological leaps, the inexplicable discoveries that had saved billions. All of it, his doing. But now, he said, I come to you not in secret, but in truth. He lifted his hand again, and the very fabric of space trembled. In an instant, strange artifacts materialized before the leaders of Earth, small, intricate devices humming with energy beyond human comprehension. These are my gifts to you, Exalthor declared. With them, you will glimpse the future you are destined for. The world held its breath. The implications were staggering. If his gifts had already shaped human progress in the past, then what would these new ones do? Some leaders saw opportunity, others saw danger. Why? One voice finally asked, breaking the silence. Why us? Why give us this power? Exalthor turned his gaze toward the speaker, and for the first time, his voice carried something almost like sorrow. Because, he said, there are those who would see you remain weak. A hush fell over the room. Exalthor continued, his words heavy with warning. There are forces beyond your world that do not wish to see you rise. To them, you are an anomaly, a species that should have never thrived. They will come for you one day. And when they do, you must be ready. His form began to glow brighter, as if the very act of speaking these words drained him. This is my final gift, he said. A chance for you to stand not as subjects of the cosmos, but as equals. And with that, his presence faded, his energy dissolving into the air like mist in the wind. His massive ship, still hovering in the sky, pulsed once before vanishing in an instant, leaving behind only silence. For the first time in history, humanity had been acknowledged by something greater than themselves. But as the world looked upon the strange artifacts left behind, one question lingered in the minds of all. Was this the beginning of something great? Or the warning of something far worse? The world had not yet recovered from the revelation of Exalthor. His words still echoed across nations, his warning a shadow over every mind. He had come not as a conqueror, not as a ruler, but as something far beyond a being of unfathomable knowledge, who had gifted humanity a glimpse of its hidden potential. But his final words haunted the leaders of Earth. There are forces beyond your world that do not wish to see you rise. What did he mean? Who were these unseen enemies? And why had Exalthor, the most powerful being in the galaxy, chosen to help mankind? These questions had no answers, but there was something else, something even more disturbing. The artifacts he had left behind still pulsed with an energy unlike anything known to science. Some shimmered like liquid metal, others vibrated with an invisible force, and the rest seemed alive, reacting to the presence of humans as if they recognized them. Scientists across the world struggled to understand them, yet no machine, no test could reveal their true nature. It was as if these objects were waiting for something only humanity could unlock. As days passed, strange occurrences began unfolding across the planet. People who had never touched the artifacts suddenly experienced visions, glimpses of towering structures hidden beneath the earth, forgotten ruins deep within the oceans, and ancient symbols carved into mountains untouched by civilization. Whispers of an old power, buried long before the first human ever walked the earth. Some dismissed it as hallucinations, but when unrelated individuals from opposite ends of the world described the same visions, panic spread. The United Nations held emergency meetings. What had Exalthor awakened? Had he planted something in their minds? Or worse, was he revealing something humanity was never meant to find? Then, the first discovery was made. A research team investigating the deepest trenches of the Pacific Ocean stumbled upon an anomaly, an unnatural structure embedded into the seafloor, undetectable by any sonar scans. It was only visible now, as if it had just appeared. The structure was unlike anything ever seen, covered in symbols eerily similar to those on Exalthor's artifacts. The moment the first human hand touched the structure, something inside Earth itself responded. A low hum, deep and ancient, vibrated across the planet. Mountains trembled. Skies darkened. And for the first time in recorded history, the stars above Earth shifted, aligning in patterns that had no place in human astronomy. Around the world, more hidden relics began revealing themselves. In the Arctic, beneath miles of ice, explorers uncovered a massive gateway, sealed with inscriptions too perfect to be made by human hands. In the Sahara, satellites detected an entire underground city, its architecture more advanced than any modern civilization. And deep in the Amazon rainforest, an energy field was discovered, distorting time itself, slowing the decay of anything that entered. The truth could no longer be denied. Zalthor had not given in. At once, the energy readings spiked beyond measurable limits, and before the world could react, a pulse surged through the planet. Cities flickered with strange lights. The sky rippled like a disturbed lake. For precisely 7 seconds, Earth existed in two places at once, one in the present and another in a distant past. And in that moment, humanity saw what they had lost. Visions of a forgotten era flooded their minds, an age when humans walked among the stars, not as explorers, but as rulers of their own domain. They had once wielded power, rivaling even the greatest galactic civilizations, their knowledge stretching beyond time itself. They were not primitive. They were not weak. They had been great. And then, something had destroyed them. The visions twisted, turning to images of war, of betrayal, of a force so immense that even their mighty ancestors had been helpless against it. A war fought not just on Earth, but across the fabric of reality itself. And then, the final horror was revealed. Something had erased them. Their history, their legacy, their very existence had been stripped away. Their knowledge had been sealed, their monuments hidden, their name erased from the records of the galaxy. Humanity had been reduced to nothing, their greatness shattered, their place in the stars stolen. And now, Exalthor had undone that erasure. He had reopened a wound long buried beneath time. As the pulse faded, reality returned to normal, but nothing would ever be the same again. The world was no longer staring into the unknown, they were staring into their own forgotten reflection. Governments collapsed into chaos. What did this mean? Had humanity once ruled the galaxy? If so, who had destroyed them? And worse, if this power had erased them once, what would stop it from doing so again? The answer came in the form of a warning. As the visions ended, a final message imprinted itself into the minds of every person on Earth, spoken in a voice that was neither human nor alien, but something in between. You were not meant to remember. Then, the stars above shifted once more, and for the briefest moment, an unknown force beyond the edge of the galaxy stirred. It had noticed them, and it was watching. The world was no longer the same. Ever since the Great Pulse had awakened lost memories, humanity had been forced to face an undeniable truth: they were not meant to be what they were today. They were once something greater, something powerful. But that past had been stolen from them, erased so thoroughly that even their oldest legends held no trace of it. And yet, the knowledge had begun to return. Visions of vast cities that once stood where deserts now lay, glimpses of towering machines that could bend the laws of nature itself, and echoes of a time when humanity had walked among the stars as rulers, not as wanderers. These were not dreams. They were memories, real, undeniable, and terrifying. At first, governments tried to contain the truth, but it was impossible. Too many people had seen the visions. Too many had felt the weight of history pressing down upon them. Scientists, historians, and even ordinary civilians began experiencing flashes of understanding. They looked at ancient ruins and suddenly knew what they once were. They gazed at the stars and felt an unexplainable familiarity, as if they had stood on distant worlds before. And worst of all, they could feel something else, a presence, watching from the void, waiting for them to remember too much. Then, the first artifact unlocked itself. It happened in a remote research facility, hidden deep in the mountains, where one of the objects left behind by Exalthor had remained dormant for weeks. No tool, no machine, no force had been able to activate it. But one night, as a researcher absent-mindedly traced the strange symbols on its surface, the artifact pulsed with a soft blue glow. The symbols shifted, rearranging themselves, and suddenly the device spoke. Not in words, not in sound, but directly into the minds of everyone in the room. It was not a voice of command, nor a language of conquest. It was a gift. Knowledge flowed into their minds, not like information being taught, but like something they had once known and had simply forgotten. In mere moments, they understood things that should have taken lifetimes to comprehend. The artifact contained instructions, blueprints of ancient technology that defied human understanding. Machines capable of harnessing energy from the very fabric of reality. Fields of protection that could shield entire cities. Engines that could bend space itself, turning distance into nothing more than an illusion. These were not alien creations. They were human, and they had been taken from them long ago. As news of the activation spread, other artifacts across the world began unlocking. In hidden chambers beneath the earth, in caves untouched for millennia, in long-lost ruins buried under the ocean, the past was awakening. Some granted knowledge, others revealed lost locations, and a few whispered of things yet to come. Scientists were baffled, leaders were terrified, and the world stood on the brink of something greater than it had ever imagined. But not everyone was eager to embrace this newfound power. Some feared it, believing that it had been hidden for a reason. If humanity had once held such advanced technology, then why had they lost it? What force had been powerful enough to strip them of their own knowledge, to erase an entire civilization from existence? The answer, though unspoken, loomed over them like a shadow. If something had taken their past before, then it could come again. Then, the warnings began. Those who had unlocked the artifacts started experiencing visions not of the past, but of the future. Cities burning under a sky that was not their own. Shadows descending from the stars, vast and hungry, consuming everything in their path. A war not between nations, but between existence and oblivion. And in every vision, one thing remained constant: a single phrase, carved into the very fabric of their thoughts: they are coming. It was then that the world truly understood the magnitude of Exile Thor's gift. He had not just given them technology. He had not just restored their lost past. He had prepared them. The artifacts were not simply relics of an ancient civilization, they were tools of survival. Humanity had once been a great power, but something had tried to wipe them from history. And now, that enemy had noticed them again. The gift of the forgotten past was not just an opportunity, it was a warning. ASE leaders debated their next move. Something unprecedented happened. The artifacts, which had remained scattered across different nations, suddenly pulsed in unison. A signal, silent yet undeniable, swept across the planet. And then, as if answering a call from the depths of time itself, a structure long buried beneath the ice in Antarctica activated. It was not like the other ruins. It was different, larger, older, and untouched by the decay of time. It had been waiting, hidden beneath the frozen wasteland, for longer than humanity had existed in its current form. And as the first team of explorers stepped inside, the walls themselves came to life, revealing a truth that shattered everything they thought they knew. This was not just an ancient building. This was a vault. A vault meant to protect something. Something left behind for them. And as they moved deeper into its depths, they realized the final truth of their forgotten past. Humanity had not simply been powerful. They had been the last defense against something far worse. And now, the time had come to finish what their ancestors had started. The forgotten past was no longer forgotten. It was time to reclaim what was once theirs and prepare for what was coming. For centuries, the Galactic Council had ruled over the known universe, dictating which civilizations could rise and which would remain in the shadows. They were the unseen rulers, the silent judges, the self-proclaimed guardians of galactic order. Among the thousands of species under their control, humanity had been nothing more than a minor anomaly, a primitive race confined to its homeworld, too insignificant to be acknowledged. But now, everything had changed. The return of humanity's forgotten past, the awakening of lost technology, and the resurgence of knowledge once thought erased had shattered the illusion of their weakness. And the Council had noticed. Deep within the core of the Council's stronghold, the High Conclave gathered in secrecy, their luminous forms pulsing with agitation. They had always known that humanity was different. Long ago, the humans had been something else, something powerful, something that had nearly reshaped the balance of the galaxy. That was why the Council had intervened. That was why they had erased them. But now, despite all their efforts, humanity had begun to remember. And worse, they were rising again. The ruling members did not speak in words, for their communication transcended language. Instead, thoughts collided like storms, rippling through the chamber in waves of pure energy. The humans were supposed to remain broken. They have discovered the vault. They have unlocked the artifacts. It is only a matter of time before they reclaim what was lost. This cannot be allowed. Fear and jealousy twisted through the Council's collective mind. They had spent millennia ensuring their dominance, manipulating history to keep any one species from surpassing them. The rise of humanity threatened everything. Their ancient machines, their lost knowledge, their ability to challenge the very fabric of reality if left unchecked, they could surpass the Council itself. That was unacceptable. And so, the decision was made. Humanity would not be allowed to rise. The order was given, and across the galaxy, the silent enforcers of the Council moved into action. In the cold void of space, a fleet unlike any seen before began its march toward Earth. Not a fleet of warships, not a force of invasion, but something far worse, a planetary execution squad. The Council did not fight wars. They did not negotiate. When they deemed a species unworthy, they erased them. It had been done before, and it would be done again. To them, humanity was an infection that had returned, and they would cure the galaxy of it. On Earth, humanity had no idea of the storm approaching. While nations worked together to decipher the remaining artifacts, scientists continued their research into the lost technologies. They had made progress. Some machines had been restored, ancient blueprints had been reconstructed, and strange energy sources had been successfully activated. But they were still far from understanding their full potential. And when the first warning signals came, it was already too late. The sky above Earth darkened as thousands of Council vessels emerged from hyperspace, their presence blotting out the stars. Unlike any known warships, they bore no weapons, no cannons, no visible means of attack. They were the weapons. These ships were constructs of pure energy, capable of bending space, of rewriting the laws of physics, of turning entire planets into dust with a mere command. They had done this to countless other civilizations before. And now, it was Earth's turn. Panic spread like wildfire. The world's leaders scrambled for answers, desperate to understand what was happening. Messages were sent, pleas for communication, desperate attempts to negotiate, but the Council did not respond. They had no interest in words. They had already judged humanity. And now, they would erase them once more. Then, at the height of chaos, the first attack came. It was not an explosion, not a bombardment. The Council ships pulsed with blinding light, and in an instant, entire regions of the planet vanished. Cities disappeared as if they had never existed. Millions of lives were wiped out without a trace. There was no sound, no destruction, only absence. It was as if reality itself had rewritten Earth, removing everything that did not belong. Humanity had never faced anything like this before. Their greatest weapons, their strongest defenses, all meant nothing against an enemy that could erase them from existence. But even in the face of annihilation, something stirred. Deep beneath the ruins of Antarctica, within the vault that had remained sealed for ages, an ancient mechanism roared to life. The artifacts across the planet resonated, their energies intertwining, awakening something that had been dormant for thousands of years. And then, for the first time in recorded history, humanity witnessed the return of their true legacy. A pulse of energy erupted from the vault, tearing through the skies, shutting down the Council's attack. The ships that had been erasing Earth froze, their energy fields flickering, struggling against an unknown force. The Council had believed they had erased humanity's history, but they had failed to destroy the one thing that could fight back. The knowledge that had been buried, the technology that had been hidden, the power that had once made humanity the rulers of their own destiny, it was all coming back. Machines long thought lost reactivated, structures hidden within the Earth unfolded, and defenses from an age before history awakened. The ground itself trembled as the forgotten war engines of humanity rose from their tombs. Weapons that could rewrite reality. Shields that could withstand the fury of the stars. Ships that could move between dimensions as easily as walking through a door. The Council had come to erase humanity, but they had unknowingly reawakened the greatest threat they had ever faced. For the first time, the Galactic Council felt fear. And as the ancient war machines turned their gaze toward the sky, as the first retaliatory strike was launched with power beyond anything modern humanity had ever known, one truth became clear. The Council had made a mistake. They should have never allowed humanity to remember, because now, the war that had ended long ago was about to begin again. The battle for Earth had not ended. It had only just begun. The Galactic Council, once confident in its absolute power, had made a fatal mistake. It had underestimated the resilience of humanity. When they arrived, they believed they were delivering a final judgment, wiping away a civilization that had dared to reclaim its lost strength. But instead of submission, they'd awakened something far more dangerous. The remnants of humanity's past, buried beneath the ruins of time, had stirred, and now, for the first time in recorded history, humanity was fighting back. The sky was a battlefield, a chaos of light and energy as the Council's execution fleet clashed with forces they did not fully understand. Earth's defenses, once primitive, had become something else, something ancient, something terrifying. War machines from a forgotten age, awakened by the Vault's pulse, stood like titans against the Council's vessels. These were not weapons made by the civilizations of today. They were creations from a time before history, when humanity had not just survived in the galaxy, but had ruled it. And as they roared to life, the truth became undeniable. Humanity had not been erased. It had been hidden. The Council's fleet unleashed its power again, attempting to erase entire cities from existence as they had before. But this time, the attacks failed. A shimmering barrier, invisible and incomprehensible, flickered into place over Earth. The Council's weapons struck it, but the energy simply vanished, absorbed into nothingness. The shield had not been created in desperation. It had always been there, buried beneath the planet, waiting for the right moment to reactivate. The Council's arrogance had blinded them. They had assumed humanity's history was lost, but it had merely been sealed away. And now, as the past returned, it brought with it a power unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. In the skies above, the battle intensified. Council ships, built to enforce the rule of the galaxy, found themselves being torn apart by something they could not understand. Humanity's ancient warships, sleek and dark like the void itself, moved without propulsion, without fuel, without explanation. They did not fire lasers, nor did they use missiles. Instead, they wielded forces beyond physics, weapons that bent reality itself. A single thought from their pilots could unmake a Council vessel, reducing it to dust in an instant. The Council's forces, once overwhelming, began to break. And then, the voice came. It was not a broadcast. It was not spoken through any known language. It echoed across every ship, every mind, every being in the battle. It was the voice of the Vault itself, of the machines awakening beneath the Earth. It was the voice of humanity's true legacy. We have returned. The words sent ripples of fear through the Council's forces. They had believed humanity to be an upstart race, a civilization barely worthy of their notice. But they had been wrong. The truth was far worse. Humanity had once been the dominant power of the galaxy. The Council had not created order. They had not shaped the universe. They had merely taken control after humanity had fallen. And now, that fall was over. The Council's fleet struggled against the impossible power of Earth's defenses. A new force emerged from deep space. Massive vessels, dark as the abyss, descended upon the battlefield. They bore no insignia, no markings of an empire. They were silent, but their presence alone was enough to shake the stars. These were the true warships of ancient humanity, hidden away in secret places for millennia, waiting for the day they would be needed again. And that day had come. The Council, once untouchable, was now the hunted. Their greatest warships, once symbols of fear, were being torn apart like paper. Their fleets, designed to erase entire civilizations, were being unraveled by weapons they did not understand. They had come to destroy humanity, but instead they had awakened its full strength. And in that moment, as they realized their mistake, they knew fear. The leaders of the council, watching from the safety of their distant strongholds, were silent. They had always believed themselves to be the masters of the galaxy, the rulers of fate. But now they faced a terrifying realization: they were nothing compared to what humanity had once been. Their power was borrowed, their rule temporary. And now, the true rulers of the galaxy had returned to reclaim what was theirs. On Earth, the final command was given. Not a call for retreat, not a request for surrender. It was a declaration. Humanity was no longer a hidden force, no longer a lost civilization waiting in the shadows. They had risen. They had taken back what was theirs. And now, they were going to take everything. The last of the council ships vanished into the void, their remnants scattered across space. The execution fleet, which had once been unstoppable, had been erased. Earth stood victorious, not just as a world that had survived, but as a world that had ascended. And beyond the stars, across the galaxy, whispers began to spread. The rulers of old had returned. The forgotten empire had awakened. And soon, every species in the universe would come to understand the truth. Humanity had once ruled the stars. And now, they would do so again.